On HQ, a tale of two halves in Game 2 for the Nets and Sixers. Philadelphia was down 5 at the break, put up just 44 points, but a different story in the second half as they get a double-digit lead and coast to the finish line, go up 2-0 on the Brooklyn Nets. All right, let's get some insight. Bring in Avery Johnson, HQ basketball analyst. And Avery, Nets hold the Sixers to 96 total points, but they just couldn't get any offense going. Your impressions of how this game played out?
Well, the same way my collar is not going right now. They weren't very good offensively, the Nets. They shot 41 threes, only made 13. Give the Philadelphia 76ers defense credit tonight. They were outstanding, especially in the second half where they held the Nets to only 35 points. Cam Johnson was incredible in the first half, 22 points. Second half, only 4 points. So look at the adjustments as Maxey talked about in his post-game interview, the adjustments they made at halftime. They came out, played extremely well. It seems like the Nets are going to consistently double team Joel Embiid, and the times that they don't double team him, he takes advantage of that single coverage. Look at the difference in points in the paint, 46 to 22. If the 76ers didn't turn the ball over 19 times, this would be a larger margin of victory. They survive a night where James Harden only has 8 points, but it's all because of the 76ers defense.
Yeah, and a huge, as you just saw, rebounding differential as well. Avery, you know, Jacques Vaughn said it at the outset of the game. He's gonna spread them out. They want to shoot at least 43s. As you mentioned, they shot 41, just didn't hit enough of them. Is that the only strategy you could think of for the Nets to have a puncher's shot in this series?
Yeah, and I think they need to make one more extra pass.
Yep.
They struggled against Philadelphia's 2-3 matchup zone. Doc Rivers played, 10-plus possessions of zone there in the second half. And I just think the Nets got a little bit too impatient. You really don't need to take contested shots against the zone, but with penetration, ball movement, attacking the basket, driving kicks, you can get some more wide open looks. I thought too many of their 40-plus threes were contested because of their impatience on offense.
Good point right there. And, you touched on this as well. Adjustments. Doc Rivers made them against Bridges in Game 1, against Johnson in Game 2. Different story for each of those players in the second half. Now, on a night, as you mentioned, where James Harden wasn't really impacting this game in the offensive end, on a night Joel Embiid scores just 20, they get 33 from Tyrese Maxey. How good is it for this Philadelphia team to have that third option that could step to the plate if need be in any of these important games?
Yeah, Maxey definitely has that ability. He can play on the ball, off the ball. He's a knockdown three-point shooter. He does a nice job of moving without the ball. They can get the same type of production, remember, from DeAnthony Milton. He didn't reach double figures tonight, but he made a couple of threes. He had his moments, missed a couple of wide open ones. But between Milton and Maxey, those guys, M&M, they have that capability of being that third and fourth offensive scorer, especially on a night like tonight when James Harden struggles. I don't see James Harden struggling like this in Brooklyn. I think he's going to have a breakout performance. The crowd's going to be hard on him in Brooklyn, but I think he's going to go to work in Game 3. And that's why this game is looking like either a sweep or a 5-game series in favor of the Philadelphia 76ers.
And you have to imagine Joel Embiid is going to have a bigger offensive output as well when the venue shifts to Brooklyn. For the Nets, perhaps this is about a learning experience in this environment with this team that was kind of assembled late in the season. But for the Sixers, they obviously have higher aspirations. They're a team that hasn't gotten out of the second round in some time. Does this team, the way it's currently constituted in your eyes, can you see things being different in this postseason for Philly?
Well, I think it all depends on James Harden. If he's healthy and ready to go. Remember, James Harden, his production tends to decrease a little bit as the playoffs wears on, even dating back to his time in Houston. But I'll give him credit. That's why you need guys like Maxey to step up. You have a Joel Embiid. He didn't have a Joel Embiid in Houston, but he has it now, a guy that can take a lot of pressure off him offensively. So hopefully that'll keep him a little bit more fresh so that he can have more of a sustainable playoff experience. You see Doc Rivers is using the zone a little bit to try to hide James Harden on the back of that defense, just, again, to keep him in a healthy mindset. So they have that opportunity. He's going to have to be healthy. He doesn't have to be the James Harden that led the league in scoring and, the MVP type of a James Harden, but that next level down, he's got to be ready to go.
Touching on Doc Rivers, these first two games of the series, first half played out, Doc Rivers made adjustments. He coached them up, and it was a different story in the second half. In each of these games, Doc Rivers takes a lot of the shots for this team in terms of blame if things go wrong in the postseason. But how important has he been not only in these first two games, but moving forward with regards to adjustment this team's going to need to make throughout these playoffs?
Well, that's part of what you sign up for. When you're coaching a Joel Embiid, James Harden, you've made moves. You've traded Ben Simmons away. You got Maxey improving. You have this Philadelphia 76ers crowd that's starving for a champion. Hadn't been to the finals since Allen Iverson was there. They feel like they have a small window of opportunity. And when you have all that insurmountable pressure, that's going to fall on the coach. That's why they get paid the big bucks. Doc Rivers has won a championship with Boston. We can go back to his tenure with the Los Angeles Clippers. We can say that, a lot of fans thought he underachieved with Philadelphia, with the Los Angeles Clippers. Now he's with Philadelphia with teams that have an opportunity to represent the Eastern Conference in the NBA Finals. But you got to go through a team like the Boston Celtics. That's why it's important to try to sweep this Brooklyn Nets team so that you can get proper rest and have 4 or 5 days off potentially in between that second round game and give yourself a better opportunity. But sure, yes, all the pressure's on Joel Embiid, James Harden, and Doc Rivers. I absolutely agree with you, Jim.
Yeah, no question about it. So far, so good for Philadelphia. He's a CBS NBA analyst, Avery Johnson. Avery, we always appreciate the insight.
My pleasure.
This is what it looks like for the Brooklyn Nets, and the results haven't been pretty. Last 5 playoff appearances dating back to 2015. In between there were the KD, Kyrie years, but you could see the best they got was one playoff round win, and that was against Boston in 2021.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.